Welcome to the Doctor Who Guide. Today, I'm super excited to be interviewing a very special guest who has worked with me on my story. I was lucky enough to have this wonderful illustrator, Kris, work on my story in the Doctor Who 1997 annual. Kris, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, nice to see you. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that whole process. It's been a lot of work, but I think what we collaborated on turned out pretty great. So it's fun.
Yeah, I was really excited. I'd seen your artwork in the 1988 annual that Terraqueous Distributors did, and I'm just gonna flip open to it. It was a double page spread of a beautiful shoots and ladders style game called Aquatic
Yes.
Adventure, and it's lovely, nice and shiny, just beautiful artwork. And so
Thank you.
when I found out that because I didn't get to pick whoever the artist was that did my story, I was told. And so when I found out about that, I was like, I think that name is familiar, and I went into it. I was like, oh, thank goodness, I love this art style. I really feel like I really lucked out to have you as the artist on my story. So I really enjoyed working with you. It was, as you say, it's so much work, and so I think that made it more fun for me because I could just pitch these ideas to you, and you would go away, do all the hard work, and I just get to see the end results. Really exciting and really fun. So, uh, talk to me a little bit about how you got into Doctor Who and when that first crossed over into the world of your art, because I'd really like to know that.
Yeah. So actually, I got into Doctor Who, I guess, when it first started getting like popular in the US. My sister, who was like on the internet at the time in like 2012, 2011, she had brought it up to me. So I started with New Who season one. So 2005 was where I began, and I watched up past through, like I was there for when the 50th came out, which was like just such a fun time to like be alive. I guess, that was just best memories for me was just enjoying all of that coming out. But once I hit like late middle school, early high school, I kind of forgot about Doctor Who for a while. Like its impact was still with me, and I ended up like following this train of sci-fi through my whole life. So I was into Portal, Portal 2 right before Doctor
Mhm.
Who, and that went into Doctor Who, which then, transformed into like D&D and Star Wars and stuff like that. But life's a circle, and COVID came along, and I was like, you know just kind of didn't know what to do with myself. And there it was. I forget what made me remember that Doctor Who was a thing. Maybe I saw a TikTok, who knows, but I decided to rewatch it. And when I rewatched it, I was in my second year of art school, so I already know that, like, art was going to be my career. I've made a lot of, not a lot, I made a few small pieces of Doctor Who fan work when I was a kid, which are very funny looking, but we won't worry about that. But I had a lot of time on my hands doing online schooling and just being stuck at home for that summer. So I mass produced so much work in that year while catching up with everything. So, I zipped through all of, what I had seen as a kid in like a month. So like 7 seasons in like 30 days. It was a lot. But then I got through Capaldi's era and Whitaker's era up until that point. And then for the first time in my life, I went into Classic Who, and I just kept getting bombarded with the most amount of content ever. And it was just so exciting, and probably like the most inspired art period of my life. So I feel like I had a huge improvement phase because I wanted to make all of these posters based off of episodes. And some of these characters became like such important, pieces of my life. So I drew them hundreds of times, and that in itself creates a big, like, I don't know, improvement jump. So now I have like this, my senior show at college coming up, and half of the work that I have to show is Doctor Who art, which is pretty cool. I think, that a TV show can just end up being that big of a part of someone's life. But it's like crazy to me that this show has found its way into my professional life, and it's exciting and honestly an honor. So I don't know, it's all just been kind of surreal. Like if you told, my sixth grade self that this show would be like this vital to me, maybe I think in sixth grade I'd believe it. But once I fell out of Doctor Who, if you told like my high school self, I would not believe you. But
Um,
it's just crazy.
That's amazing. What a fun and inspiring just, you know, backstory that you have there. That's absolutely incredible. Once I found out that you were doing the art, looked you up on socials and just, scrolled through. And I'm sure you probably saw like a ton of notifications of me just liking all of your recent art. I will link, of course, in the description down below to all of your socials. But where can people find you on Instagram? Let everybody know in the comments because I want to promote your art. It's honestly incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter. I don't use Tumblr a lot, but I'm there too, and I'm technically on Facebook, but my main place is Twitter. It's Parallax Art. The spelling will be in the description. But yeah, that's where I've been posting my stuff lately.
That is awesome. I mean, what I was, really noticed and immediately was just your particular brand of the art style that you draw and just how um when we look at like traditional Doctor Who art, a lot of it is Photoshop and a mixture of, if it's a more like painted art style, you can see the original like publicity photos and reference photos that the artists
Yes.
worked off of, and a lot of times they are beautifully recreating photos that we know and love. What I loved about your art style is the way that you were able to capture the likenesses of these characters, but then put them in any sort of different situation that was not at all connected to the like reference photos necessarily. And it just breathed a sort of new life into the characters. And so I was really grateful for the ways that, I got to work with you collaboratively on this story because to just be able to say, hey, I want to see these characters in these positions doing this thing in this spot, and then to have, you send some sketches back and to see them come to life was just so enjoyable because, I think you can really tell all of the, time that you put into it, all of the practice, just, this pace at which you put them out as well and got the updates back to me was just mind-boggling. So when did you first find out that you would be working with me on the 1997 annual? Did you was it an email that you got?
Yeah, so that was an email. I believe in 2021 in the December, I got an email from the person organizing the book about, I forget what year it is. Is that the 88 with the Sixth Doctor?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I got an email mentioning that one and the 97 at the same time, but the focus was the 88 for those few months. He had mentioned that I would be illustrating for a story, but that was just kind of put on the back burner. But I believe it was around March or April of that year that he like got to me about the story. And that was just an exciting moment for me because as I'm an illustration major, so this is what I want to do with my life. And it's always been a little difficult for me to kind of conceptualize my own ideas. I do consider myself a creative person, but when it comes to crafting like whole plot lines, that's not really my strong suit, but I really love the interpretation part. I like conveying ideas. So being told that my job here would be interpreting someone else's story and getting visuals for it was like exactly what I was just waiting for, I guess. So yeah, once I got that email, I was just so excited and reading that story for the first time. It was so fun and knowing that like, when I read stories, I automatically get like images in my head of what it would look like. It's kind of that's just how I interact with written stuff. And I'm like, okay, now your actual job here is to put that on not on paper on my screen, but same difference. But no, it was just so exciting.
As the writer of the story, you always hope that it'll be well received. Not everybody is going to love it, but I was just so pleased. Like your reaction was, I think the second, the editor Mark had gotten back to me and obviously loved the initial idea and the script. So I got good feedback from him. But then to get good feedback from you was really encouraging. And so what I'd love to do is just take a look at the finish illustrations that you've created for the Edge of Oblivion, and just I'm going to ask you questions about your process, and we'll talk about how you created those images and what I liked and what you liked and how we kind of went back and forth to create those. You have not only done wonderful, amazing illustrations for my story and also the puzzle that I got to create based off of my own story. So I was so glad that those two could kind of interrelate because in my mind, they're set in the same story and it's all connected.
Yep.
But you also got to do the one of the three covers that this annual is available in. You can get it three different designs. So you're going to share that with us now. And I'm excited because at the time this video comes out, we will have all seen these different covers. But this is the very first time at recording that I've seen this cover. So I'm so excited.
Now I'm excited to share it.
Oh
So
my goodness. That is incredible.
thank you. Let me zoom in. So I was tasked with taking the original file that Mark had set up, the original design, and making it more painterly, more illustrated like the original annual covers. So that took a load off of me to not have to worry about composition. But it was a fun time to paint this. Still don't know how I did the rocks. It was so long ago for me now. But yeah, this is the cover. There is a back cover as well, but I don't have that file with me. But it's essentially the same thing, just background extended. But yeah, here it is.
That is amazing. I mean, the way that you just took the original and ran with it is amazing. I'm initially noticing is that Rassilon's tomb, the Tower of Rassilon from the Five Doctors in the background there? Is that what I'm seeing?
I believe so. That is in the original cover that Mark had designed, so I can't tell you for certain.
I
But
believe
I
I think
believe
that's
that's what it
the
is.
reference. That is, I mean, wonderfully done. Oh my gosh, the TARDIS, the outside of the TARDIS in the background with Stacy, and then the interior with Sard. That's so
Thank you.
cool.
That is
Okay.
actually a reused graphic from the one of those story illustrations that I had made for you. So
I,
I took
I love
that
that.
spot illustration, edited the colors a bit, because the TARDIS interiors are definitely the hardest thing to illustrate. So I did not want to do that another time.
That absolutely makes sense. I mean, just I want a TV show animated by you. I just that's what
Oh,
I'm getting
I
these vibes.
cannot animate it, but high compliment, thank you. But I would probably explode.
Well, I mean, that's it just looks incredible. And the lighting as well, just with the windows of the TARDIS against Stacy is just incredible. And
Thank you.
I mean, like you said, those rocks, the oh my gosh, it's hard for me to even comprehend how you got that from a blank page to where you did, but that is absolutely incredible.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So as we talk about, reusing artwork from some of our illustrations, let's dive into some of the story illustrations.
Here
Yeah.
is the first illustration I did for Edge of Oblivion. This is the title, like main drawing. It'll take up like half that page, with the title of the story and whatnot. Yeah, the perspective on this one was hard to get. I had to like scrub through the movie and different promo images and all that stuff to kind of get like the right angle to reference because the Eighth Doctor's TARDIS is complicated to say the least. Especially like the trusses and things like that. It's hard to get a grasp on how this room works.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons I love his TARDIS is those that, view out of the ceiling into the universe. And you captured that so well. And I think that, provides the reason for that lower angle, which is just so incredible. And it captures the action of the scene. And I wanted to start the story out with a bang and a lot of some initial action. And I also love that this illustration could be applied to almost any adventure. It's very much the classic scenario of the TARDIS crew holding on for dear life as the TARDIS hurtles towards whatever the next adventure is. But then I love that you have the lit candles in that candelabra just existing there, and you got to wonder about the TARDIS's gravity systems that like that doesn't fall over, set anything on fire. I mean, the walls
Absolutely.
are a library. It's a
Yeah, the Eighth Doctor's TARDIS is one of my favorites for that exact reason because of how impractical it is as a spaceship hub and like this pile of clocks that he has. It's a mess and I love it. There's so much happening.
it is so great. And then I love how you've done the console as well. All those levers and buttons and just capturing the action of it. I have gotten compliments for my background, these lovely shelves saying that it looks like the Eighth Doctor's TARDIS, and that is a compliment that is the highest I can take for these.
That is
So
that
that
is
is
so great. Yeah, I can see that.
I love that. I love that. So I mean, I was so excited to see this, and just for it to be the first impression people get of the story as well. Just so pleased with it, and that blue and gold lighting. I mean, just I love it. I love how it turned out, and the galaxies. I mean, the unit in the background. Just incredible.
So glad you liked it because I agree this is like an important like stage setting moment for the story since kind of for the rest they're mostly like separated dealing with their own, conflicts, so it's important to like get that one shot of them all together in the beginning.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was, I mean, just so exciting. And again, like the for me to have it be an idea that was just in my head, and I'm envisioning it in my head in a certain way, and then to see it come to life and be like, obviously this is so much. I mean, the all of the art is you, but to have it's just such a I don't know, it feels like such an honor, such a compliment to be like, well, the setting is my idea. And like that's what's so exciting is like I could never create this art. I could, not without a long time of practice. And I don't think I'd ever get there.
Yeah.
But I, to be able to say like there's a part of me that like without this story, that's what this is being represented. So I just was so excited and so honored to have, your illustrations on this because it was just it's like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing like my ideas come to life in a way that, I wouldn't have ever been able to otherwise. So let's hop on to the next illustration. Oh my gosh, please.
Yeah. No, we'll go to the rest of the spot illustrations and going on what you said, I think that's like the main goal of me as an illustrator to like that feeling of being able to accurately convey what someone was looking for. That's exactly what I would hope for. That's always the scariest part. Like, is this going to be what my client imagined? And that it can be stressful. So it's really exciting to me to hear that, it turned out the way that your mind had envisioned.